'cause you are a gift to me. My soul holds a holy spark. You can even see it in the dark. Your soul is holy too. Yes, this is what I see in you. Elohai neshama shenata tabi. Elohai neshama shenata tabi. Tehoraki. Each soul one of a kind,
a little piece of the divine.
when you love what you create,
Your path will illuminate.
each soul has an offering, a little gift that it can bring. So sing your song both near and far. The world needs you just as you are. Elohai neshama shenata tabi. Elohai neshama shenata tabi. Tehoraki. Elohai neshama shenata tabi. Elohai neshama shenata tabi. Tehoraki. Elohai neshama shenata tabi. Elohai neshama shenata tabi. Tehoraki.
Oh, say shalom, shalom bimromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'akol al kol Yisrael, ve'akol yoshvei tevel. Shalom bimromav,
ידיים אליו, לא הכל מובן מאליו, כי דברים מסתרים כמו ניסים ומעשים טובים. לא רוצה יותר לריב, לא רוצה יריב, לא רוצה מלחמה, השלום בדרך בלבי הנחמה. בואו ונזרוק את השנאה, כי אני ואתה רוצים את השלום. תנו לי להגשים את החלום, ועכשיו אני פונה אלייך ואליך, רואה את השלום בעינייך ועיניך. בוא נעשה שלום ונרים את המקום, כי היום אנו בונים את העתיד לילדים שלנו, ומי עוד יעשה את זה אם לא אנחנו. עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, והוא יעשה שלום עלינו.
עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו, ואמרו אמן.
Baruch HaGeder שיפתח באדוני והיה אדוני מבטחו ביקור אדוני הדיין כי באדוני צור עולמים ויפתחו בך יודי שמך כי לא עזבת דושך אדוני אדוני חפץ למען צדקו ידיר תורה וידיר ברוך הגבר אשר יפתח באדוני והיה אדוני מבטחו בגבורת.
Lights over the doors on this side, on that side of the sanctuary, but also behind me and in front of you. There are exits on each side of the bima behind the curtains. There are also exits in the back end of the social hall. Additional exits can be found in the sanctuary where you entered over to the west, but also doors to the east. There are fire extinguishers and an AED device near the fountain in the hall, and another fire extinguisher inside the door of the sanctuary from which you entered.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So great to be here and see many familiar faces and many new faces as we celebrate Shabbat and we celebrate a wonderful bar mitzvah this next Shabbat morning, and to see members of his family who have traveled from further than the 605 freeway or the 15 if you're going the other way. It's always nice to see. So we're going to begin our Erev Shabbat Tefillah with a song of welcome, Shalom Aleichem, which you will find on page 28 in your Sidurim. Those are the thinner books that are in your seat backs. Welcome everyone who is watching online. If you don't have a copy of our Sidur or don't have a downloaded version, you can find one, a Kindle ebook on the Amazon website, and you can also go to ccarpress.com, I believe. It may be a .org, CCAR Press, and you can find links to it there. So please do that and follow along with us on another device as you watch in the service. And please feel free to say Shabbat Shalom in the chat. Oops, I got to do one more thing here. You'll notice that I am echad today. I am just one. We are all one, but I am one on the bima tonight, missing very much Rabbi Kupitz, who is not with us this Friday, but he will be here for the bar mitzvah tomorrow. He has a family wedding this weekend coming up, and lots of exciting things to go around on that. So we're going to start on 28 with Shalom Aleichem. Feel free to clap, join in as we do here at TBI. If you know it, I expect to hear it. Ya-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da-da. I think I gave you some bad information. It's actually page 24. Shalom Aleichem Malachei Hasharet Malchei 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 Elyon Mimelech Mimelech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu HaKadosh Baruch Hu Bochem L'Shalom Malachei HaShalom Malchei 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 Elyon Mimelech Mimelech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu HaKadosh Baruch Hu Baruchuni L'Shalom Malachei HaShalom Malchei 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 Elyon Mimelech Mimelech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yada-da with me. Yada-da-da-da, yada-da-da-da-da, yada-da-da-da-da, yada-da-da, yada-da-da-da, yada-da-da-da-da, yada-da-da-da-da. Last paragraph. Zeitchem L'Shalom Malachei HaShalom Malchei 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 Elyon Mimelech Mimelech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu HaKadosh Baruch Hu. La-dai-dai, ya-da-da-dai-dai, ya-da-da-da-da-dai, ya-da-da-da-da-dai, ya-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-dai, Yai dai dai da dai dai. Yai dai dai da dai dai. Dai dai dai. So, as is our custom here to light the Shabbat candles at the beginning of our Erev Shabbat service, you will notice that our Erev Shabbat candles are already burning brightly from our family service, which we started about an hour ago, but that does not mean that we will all not participate in blessing them together. So I invite you to rise, and I invite the Tabak family to come forward and to help us with that. Please join us on page 2 in your Sidurim.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all those who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirishanu v'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Thank you, Christine. You may all be seated. Thank you. So before we move further in our service, we're going to take a little pause. Invite everyone to take a deep breath. Breathe it in. Breathe it out. Just sit quietly for a moment. Another breath. One, in, out. And a third. Breathing in. Breathing out. I don't know who, other than me, saw it this morning, but there was an article in, at least it came up on my newsfeed, about how mindfulness meditation has proven in scientifically peer-reviewed studies to be as, if not more effective than chemical antidepressants. I didn't know who the peers were who reviewed it, but just inviting us all to consider the power of quiet breathing and meditation. And we're going to just take a few more moments to do that as we reflect on the week. And after that, we will resume on page 20 and 21 with Lecha Dodi as we welcome our Shabbat bride into our midst. top of page 20. Lecha dodi likrat kalai alalai 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 penei Shabbat nehekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai alalai 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 penei Shabbat nehekabela. Shamo v'zachor b'dibur echan Ishmeanu el hamyuchan Adonai echad ushmo echad L'shem multiferet v'litchila Lechad dodi likrat kalai alalai 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 B'nei Shabbat Nehekabela Lecha dodi likrat kala Yalalai, yalalai, yalalai Penei Shabbat Nehekabela Likrat Shabbat Lechuven elcha Ki mekor habracha Meirosh bikedem Nesucha Sof Maaseh B'mashva Tchila Lecha dodi likrat kala Yalalai, yalalai, yalalai Penei Shabbat Nehekabela Lecha dodi likrat kala Yalalai, yalalai, yalalai Penei Shabbat Nehekabela. Paragraph 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva ore, kumi ori, uri, uri, shira beri, kevod Adonai, alayech nigla, lecha dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 penei Shabbat. Nehekabela Lecha dodi likrat kala Yalalai, yalalai, yalalai Penei Shabbat Nehekabela. I invite you all to rise and face the doors. We symbolically welcome the Shabbat Queen. Paragraph 9. Boi v'shalom Ateret bala Gam b'simcha U'v'tzola Toch emunei Am segula Boi Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai, yalalai, yalalai Penei Shabbat Nehekabela Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai, yalalai, yalalai Penei Shabbat Nehekabela. You may be seated for a moment. I'd like to invite Matan Tabak to join me on the bima as we continue on page 26 with Chatzi Kaddish. You can use this book. Whatever. You have to be in front of the microphone.
Yikada vikada sheme rampa Balma divra hirte vimli mahute Behai han uvyom han uvaye de kobe Yisrael Bangala Bangala Uvizman kari Vimeru Shemay Rabba Mevorah, Le'olam U'omei Omaya, Yidbarah, Vishtabah, Vitpa'ar, Vitromam, Vitnaseh, Vitadar, Vitale, Vitala, Shemay Dekudisha Barihu, Le'ela Mikol Birhata, Vishirata, Tushbehata, Venehemata, Ta'armi Rambelma, Vimeru, Amen.
I invite you all to rise if you are unable for Baruch Hu, page 28. Just read. 3, 2, go.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarah. Baruch Adonai Hamvarah le'olam va'ed. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due now and forever.
Lai 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 la la lai 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 la lai la la lai 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 ya la la lai ya la 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 lai 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach lai la lai ya la la lai ya lai 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 Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed ya lai 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 ya lai 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 lai. You may be seated. Last 3 lines on page 30 in the Hebrew. El Chai v'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Ata Adonai Hamariv Aravim. Top of page 33. Let's read together. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to learn, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Last 4 lines in the Hebrew on 32. Ve'ahavatecha Atasir mimenu leolamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Oy vamo Israel. If you are able, we rise for Shema on page 34, 35, and Matan will lead us. Just read. Yeah.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Had. Baruch Shem Kevod Mahuto Le'olam Va'ed. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God, glorious majesty forever and ever.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. May be seated. We continue on page 36 with Aveh Havta, and Matan will lead us. 3, 2, go.
Ve'afta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher nohim mitzavecha hayam al levavecha v'shinamtam levaneha v'dibarta bam v'shiftecha b'veiteha u'leftecha v'adek u'shofbecha u'vkumeha u'kshartam le'od al yadeha v'hayu letotafot bein eineha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beiteha u'vishareha leman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzotai v'yitem kedoshim le'Elohehem ani Adonai Elohehem asher hoseiti etem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lahem Elohim ani Adonai Elohehem.
Adonai Elohechem, amen. Thank you. You can go and sit down in the chair behind you there. Take your book on top, please. Page 41. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, a song of a land once ravaged by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. We sing our song at the sea, a song the Israelite ancestors sang in triumph and amazement as they crossed through the Sea of Reeds to the dry land and the new future that awaited them on the other side. Micha Mocha. Micha Mocha Bailim Adonai Micha Mocha Nedar Bakodesh Nora Tehilot Osei Pele Nora Tehilot Osei Pele Sefele Malchutecha Ra'u Vanecha Bokei Ayam Livnei Moshe u'Miriam Zeze Eli Anu ve'ameru Adonai Yimloch Le'olam va'ed Le'olam va'ed Micha Mocha Vailim Adonai mi kamocha nedar bakodesh nora tehilot osei fele nora tehilot osei fele osei fele. Last paragraph in the Hebrew. V'ne'emar kifad Adonai et Yaakov ugalo miyad chazak mimenu baruch atah Adonai gal Yisrael. As we move forward to Hashkivenu, our song that asks for the protection of the Holy One as we lie down in the evening, may we arise in peace and in wholeness, and may the Sukkot Shlomecha that God provides be the tabernacle of peace be over us as we rest. And I invite you to join me in the refrain. This is a version that plays off of the English translation at the top of page 43, or the English words on the top of page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Try that with me. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Ve'ha'amidenu, Shomreinu lechayim. Ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha. Veinu Adonai Eloheinu Hashkivenu Leshalom. Let there be love. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. We give thanks for the gift of Shabbat with Vishamru, top of page 44. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam Vishamru B'nai Israel et HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat Ledorotam Berit Olam Beini V'Bnei Israel Oti Leolam Oti Leolam Oti Leolam Shamru B'nai Israel et HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat Ledorotam Berit Olam Ki Sheshet Yamim Asa Adonai et Hashamayim ve'et haaretz ve'shamru B'nai Israel et HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat Ledorotam Berit Olam U'v'yom hashvi Shabbat v'yinafash Shabbat v'yinafash Shabbat v'yinafash Ve'shamru B'nai Yisrael et HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat Ledorotam Berit Olam. Now turn to page 46, which begins our tefillah, our amidah, the core liturgy of our service. And I'm going to invite Matan back up here to help lead. And I will invite you all, if you are able to, please rise.
Adonai sefatati tach uvia kita hilateha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rahel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanara El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zoher HaSheitavot v'Himahot Umigili V'Avniv Nevenehem Leman Shemel B'Hava Melech Hoser Umoshia Umokain Baruch Atah Adonai Mangiv Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah.
Page 50.
Tangi Borlelam Adonai Mehaye Akulata Rav Leoshia Mashiv Harua Umarid Hagashem Mehakel Hayim Behesed Mehaye HaKol Beraharim Rabim Somach Noflim Veroher Kolim Umatir Asirim Umikayem Umatali Shene Afar Mihamoham Ba'al Gevura Umidola Melech Mimin Umihayet Umatzmiya Yeshuha B'ne'ema Natal Hahayot HaKol Baruch atah Adonai mehayeh hakol.
Amen. Page 52. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Please take a few moments for the prayers of your own hearts, whether they come from the pages of the Siddur, either right or left side, or just another opportunity for some quiet reflection. And when you have completed yours, please feel free to be seated. I'd mentioned earlier, well, maybe I didn't mention earlier, but if you were on the TBI emails and have been looking at upcoming events, you would know that not only do we have the opportunity to introduce Matan to our community as he becomes Bar Mitzvah this Shabbat, but we're also going to be taking a moment to recognize the veterans in our midst on Veterans Day, which is today, and hear from one of our TBI veterans, hear her story of service. But also, this is the week that the world commemorates Kristallnacht, the Night of Broken Glass back in 1938. That was one of the hallmark events, if you can use that phrase, of the coming of Nazi terror, and the Night of Broken Glass lives in our memories, not only in the reality of the event, but symbolically symbolizing an anti-Semitism that blossomed in Nazi Germany throughout the 30s, and that we all too often recognize manifestations of in our own time here in 2022, something I think most of us never thought that we would see to the extent that we've witnessed it in recent months. So I'm going to invite Randy to say a few words. He's going to play a very special piece dedicated to all of the victims of Nazi terror, and with the prayer and hope that it may never again it be allowed to happen.
Shabbat Shalom to everybody. Yeah, as Cantor had said, this is a very somber and signature melody that comes from Holocaust. We don't know who composed the melody. It's sort of a mystery. But many composers have felt incumbent on them to set different melodies. This is probably one of the most famous. If you've ever gone to one of our Yom HaShoah services, you know that we've played this sort of a signature tune, if I can say that, along with maybe the only other song that I think is as famous, maybe the Song of the Partisans. And the text in Hebrew, I'm not going to say the Hebrew, but the text in English certainly describes the composer's belief in God. So it literally translates, I believe with perfect faith in the coming of the Messiah, and though he tarry, I will wait daily for his coming. And this is Ani Mamim by unknown composer. Well, yes, it is arranged by Lazar Wyman, who also did another setting of it as well. This is the more famous setting of it.
Thank you so much, Randy. It's always wonderful to have an opportunity to hear the insights and the thoughts and the perspectives of members of our community and how they bring Torah to life in their lives. We're going to hear some of that from Matan certainly in the morning, but this evening we have the privilege of welcoming our past president and current volunteer par excellence in the Temple Beth Israel community, Janine Mann, to share a few words of Torah with you all.
Thank you, Cantor Paul. Shabbat Shalom. And hello to everyone in Cyber Shul. Thank you for joining us tonight. I am so honored to have been asked to speak tonight. This is a very special Shabbat. honoring both the veterans of our community and Matan and his family before his bar mitzvah tomorrow. This week's Torah portion is Vayera, an incredibly busy section, so here's a summary. Abraham receives 3 guests, angels, who announce that Sarah, at the young age of 90, will soon have a son. Sarah laughs, and who wouldn't? There is an argument between Abraham and God about the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. The people of Sodom attacks Lot's home, and as Lot and his family escape, his wife looks back and is turned into a pillar of salt. Lot's 2 daughters are convinced the world is doomed, get their father drunk, sleep with him, and become pregnant. But not to worry, those children become the founders of the nations Moab and Ammon. Abimelech, king of Gerar, the kingdom just down the street, takes Sarah and his wife, or as his wife, after Abraham claims that she is his sister. Isaac is born and circumcised. Hagar and her son Ishmael are sent away, yet an angel saves their lives. While all these newsworthy stories take place, the story that we often focus most on is the story of God testing Abraham, instructing him to sacrifice Isaac on Mount Moriah. There are many details in each of these stories, but there is seemingly no common thread in them. With all this drama, who needs to watch TV shows like House of Dragons? All the juicy stuff is right here. I believe the connection between these stories is sacrifice. Sacrifices of Abraham and Sarah after so long to have a child. The sacrifices of Lot, his salt pillar of a wife, and their impregnated daughters, and the sacrifice of Abraham and Isaac. Sacrifice is the risking of one's life, dignity, grace, personal worth for something more than oneself. This is where tonight's Parsha and Veterans Day come together. I am not a veteran. I did serve in Peace Corps. I was also an aid worker in Afghanistan, civilian, but worked very closely with the U.S. military, as well as the international military. And as I look at the Shabbat candles tonight, I distinctly remember touring the international ISAF military base and seeing Shabbat candles on the desk of an Israeli officer. It was incredibly moving. I saw firsthand the many sacrifices they make daily, sometimes moment by moment. Not only did they spend long periods of time away from their families, living in very difficult conditions, they constantly and consistently placed the needs of others ahead of their needs. Members of the military provided security assessments of our non-governmental organizations' facilities. They trained our local staff in security. They built schools, roads, wells, trained our security and our built infrastructure such as toilets. They accompanied my staff and me on an outing to the Kabul Women's Park, a fenced-in area where women and children could freely swing, go down slides, ride seesaws. It was the first time I had seen many of my Afghan staff laugh and smile. This was possible because of our military's kindness. And I can't help but note this week that women in Afghanistan have been unconditionally banned from attending parks in the entire country of Afghanistan. How lucky are we in the United States and elsewhere to have a military who not only cares for all people, but consists of all genders and all religions. All federal employees of the United States take an oath as they begin their federal office. This oath is the same for all: military, Peace Corps, postal workers, Congress, the president. That oath is: I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter. So help me God. When I did a quick search for Jews and the federal oath, I was surprised to find nothing written. There are discussions about swearing in witnesses in court cases to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And that since one of the 10 commandments is not to bear false witness, some say that swearing in like that may not be necessary, but a good reminder. I found nothing on the federal oath and Judaism. When Abraham began his service to God, he had no oath, just the promise of circumcision. This is our oath. It is our reminder to well and faithfully discharge the duties, or mitzvot, of being Jewish. Tomorrow, that mitzvot of Matan's bar mitzvah will serve as another reminder of our promises as a community. But back to Lot's impregnation of his daughters. I'm sorry, parents of young children. As horrible as that idea is, and please don't think I'm endorsing the idea, great things happened because of Lot's family's sacrifice. Their children created new nations, and great things happen because of the sacrifices of our veterans. Our nation and our world is great because of you. You are an inspiration, and we are so grateful that you are part of our community. We thank you and honor you. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, Janine. As we do every Friday night, we want to take a special moment to open our hearts to those who may be in need of healing. I invite you to turn to page 253 for the full Hebrew text. Randy and I will share an abbreviated version of that, and then I will read our congregational Misha Berach list and then ask you to share the names. If you choose for those who you are offering your healing thoughts and prayers, and I invite those of you who are joining us online to please put a name in the chat, and we will hold them in our hearts as well. Isha Beirach Avotenu Mikor Abracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. We ask for prayers of healing for Rebecca Gilman, Hannah Fields Austin, Sue Toback, Rosalind Lefkowitz, Helen Weinfeld, Pam Poliakov, Connie Shapiro, Kathy Blumenfeld, Caitlin Antrim, Jennifer Rudin, Brad Holland, Serena Postal, Bobby Kay, Robert Strober, Marilyn Lubarsky, Ellery Einstein, Patricia Kramer, Joan Morse, Nomi Kravitz, Craig Sachs, Simon Saul, Blair Pollock, Myra White, Lori Snyder, Charity Rezade, Mike Klein, Lily Morrison, Barbara Fass, Joel Beasy, Burton Gershman, David Bush, Howard Bush, Lawson Spicer, Mark Fenton, Gloria Foster, Rita Warshaw, Ira Quatcher, Robert Gerard, Stephen Arzt, Adele Harris, Brenda Fong Gerard, Ron Friedlander, Harvey Sherman, Jan Marcus, Fred Fable, Steve Sage, Marla Fergroso, Candy Stevens, Eva Laxon, Mark Fenton, Martin Cole, Noah Teague, Al Shapiro, Charles Nelson, Jeff Nelson, Ed Pruitt, and Oran Resnick. If you have a name to share, please do so as I come through the congregation. Mi shebeirach imotenu mikor habraka lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. So as we've said now a number of times, we are commemorating the service of our veterans today on Veterans Day. And I'd like to invite all those who are veterans of the armed forces to please rise at this time. So look around the room. We have clearly veterans of American armed forces and also of Israeli armed forces. We honor all of their service. And we thought in order to create just something a little bit more than just offering a prayer for those who have served, which we certainly will do, that we'd hear the story of one of our veterans. And now you can all sit down again, please. So I'm going to invite, I think, Petty Officer Paula Steinbach of the United States Navy, retired, to join us. I recognize the chevrons because that's the insignia that my dad wore in his service in World War II. I hope I was correct there. And Robert will help Paula to the beam. And Paula has an interesting story to share with you about her service. And you may have noticed when you came through the lobby, she had brought a table of her memorabilia to for everyone to look at. And certainly I'm sure she would be happy to answer any questions that you may have about the life of a Jewish woman in the United States Navy during her term of service. And I turn it over to Paula. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, good Shabbos. And I say good Shabbos because Shabbos in the military is good. It is the only rest you get, if only for a couple hours of service. The first week I was in boot camp in 1974 in Orlando, Florida. It was the first Friday, and my company commander asked if anyone wanted to go to the Jewish service that night. And I looked around. I was the only one. I raised my hand, and I walked through the dark company streets to the chapel. And as soon as I got to the chapel, I heard these joyous voices. And I walked in, and these little men surrounded me and hugged me. They were all World War II veterans. And they said, "We're so glad you're here, and we're going to give you a year membership in the Jewish War Veterans." And I didn't even know what that was, but I said, "Thank you." And I have remained a member of the Jewish War Veterans ever since that. The service began, it was led by a retired rabbi from Orlando, Rabbi Adler. I remember the names of everyone, except the people I met yesterday. So the service began, and all those cares of boot camp, the marching, the classes, the tests, the discipline, all went away, and Shabbat just filled our hearts. There were about 15 men there from all over the base, and I was the only woman. That was the beginning of being the only one. I was the only Jewish woman everywhere I went, every base I went to, and every little congregation I was part of. But that wasn't the only way I was the only one. In boot camp, I got together with the detailer who decides what your job is going to be in the military. And we're going through this book, and he said, pick what you want to do, and I'll send you somewhere where you can work in that field. So I went through the book and came across a man with a little torpedo on his sleeve. I said, that's cute, I want to do that. And I had no idea what that was. I have no mechanical aptitude whatsoever. I'd never even held a screwdriver. And within a few weeks, that's all I had in my pockets, because that's all I spent all day long was taking screws off torpedoes and screwing them back on and doing other mechanical things like lubricating things and checking batteries, all stuff I had never dreamed of. And I was the third woman in the Navy to become a torpedoman's mate. I applied for it 3 times, and the third time it opened up to women. And the girl in personnel called me and said, Paula, I have orders for you. You're going to basic electricity school at Great Lakes, and then you're going to torpedoman school in Orlando, Florida again. And again, I was the only woman there, and the only woman in our little Jewish congregations. My first base was Naval Air Station, Memphis, and the detailer sent me there because he knew there were no torpedomen there. It was a cruel joke. He didn't think women should be in that field. Women should be corpsmen, they should work in personnel, they should be secretaries, they should not be torpedo mechanics. And after I went to school, I was assigned to Subbase New London, Connecticut, and worked on submarine-launched torpedoes. And the men in the shop did not like me. They didn't want me there. They sabotaged my work. They stole my kosher food out of my locker, food that the Jewish Welfare Board had given me. And I don't know whether it was because I was a woman or because I was Jewish, but probably both. People in the military come from all over the country, and many bring with them their prejudices and their anti-Semitic beliefs, and I certainly encountered a lot of that. But what was really special to me was every Friday night, I went to service on base at Naval Air Station, Memphis. We had Rabbi Bruce Kahn. It was his first duty assignment. We were so excited to have a real rabbi there because we had had lay people for a long time. And he was really an inspiration to me. He encouraged me. Then I went to Great Lakes, and Rabbi Jeffrey Botnick was my rabbi there, and he was a chaplain. And he told me, Paula, you're going to be a great torpedoman's mate, and God will be with you every step of the way. And certainly that was true. When I went to the Friday night Shabbat services, everything was cast aside. All my cares, all my problems, all the concerns I had, and the focus was on the peace and calm and Psalm 16:11, in thy presence is fullness of joy. And that's what Shabbat is, and that's what it was to me in boot camp. And I went to, my last duty station was Guam, Naval Magazine Guam, and I spent just about 5 years in the Navy. I got out, went to college on the GI Bill, put me all the way through college, and I became a history teacher, high school history teacher. And so I was able to teach military history and the Holocaust and many of the things I loved about the military. And I ended up here, and I was checking out synagogues, and I came here. My first night at TBI, I was back home. I was back in my little Shabbat service at the base with the people who loved me. And that's what I feel here. And I'm so glad to be here. Thank you. Good Shabbos. I have with me one of the first things that you're issued in boot camp, These are my dog tags. And when you're given your dog tag, that's a realization you're definitely in the military. Because what do you do with this? You wear it 24/7. If anything happens to you, they know what to do with you. And I'm very proud of my dog tag. It has my name. It has my Social Security number, which was our ID number then. And it has my religion. Guess what it says? Probably I was 1 in a million who had Jewish on the dog tag. And I always wondered what would happen if I died or I was injured. Would they know what to do with me? But most chaplains do. But this is the proudest possession I have, my dog tag that says I'm Jewish. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paula, for sharing your unique experience. I want to just once again share my own appreciation and respect for those who have served our country and served in the land of Israel, who have protected us and allowed us, Shehechianu, who have kept us in life and who have sustained us and have allowed us to reach this season. They've been, the agents of the Holy One when they were called upon. And I look at people like, Simon Saul and Ira Quatcher and Isaac Kaufman, people who I know a little bit of their stories, and I look forward to learning the stories of the other veterans that we have among us, because they're important stories to hear, and it's important stories to remember. And with that in mind, I'd like to invite Randy to join me in a prayer for our American military personnel. This is something that was composed by Rabbi Gerald Skolnick and music by Daniel Mendelsohn, and it's one of the things that the Jewish Welfare Board, who Paula mentioned, has shared with all of us to be presented on this evening.
Ribono Shalom, Ribono Shalom, Anu Korim Levirkatcha, Al Chayale, Tzeva Artzot Habrit, Hanashim Vehagvarim, Ha'amitzim Shegvu Ratam, Sirutam Limdinatenu, Megina al Kulanu, Ribono Shalom, Ribono Shalom, Yoter Mikol Anu, Nosim Tefillah, Sheyizku La Ashu, Veshalom Bimheira, Uveriut Tova, Lemishpechotehem Ularetzam, whether by land, air, or sea, wherever their orders take them, we ask, dear God, that they be protected within your sheltering presence. Ribono Shalom, Ribono Shalom, Ribono Shalom.
V'imru, Amen. Gary Gilbert, as our representative of our Board of Trustees, I invite you to come forward and share some announcements.
We'll do that. Once again, Shabbat Shalom. So first, a few words of thanks, and then just a couple quick announcements. First, thanks on behalf of the Board of Trustees. Thanks to Cantor Bush for doing double duty this evening, for being our chazan and leading us in worship, and for his inspiring words this evening. Thank you also to Dr. Randy Polivoy for his lovely piano music and the wonderful selections that really speak to us for this evening and the themes for this evening. And thanks to Claudia Gonzalez, who handles our technology so expertly. On this evening, of course, we celebrate along with Matan and his family on becoming a bar mitzvah tomorrow. Mazel tov to Matan and your family, and Baruchim Abaim to everybody who has come from so far away to celebrate with them. Thank you to the Tabak family and friends for providing our oneg this evening. Thanks also to our various greeters, to Kylie Sykes, to Vicki Hollander, Sharon Regalado, Judy Rose, and our ever watchful presence in our driveway to Jerry Fenning as well. Just a few quick announcements about upcoming events in our congregation. So on this coming Tuesday, on November 15th at 7 p.m., Rabbi Kupitz will continue his course investigating and exploring Jewish practice as part of the Foundations for Thoughtful Judaism series. And then once you have finished that class, please come back the next night on Wednesday, November 16th, to participate in the course sponsored by myself and my colleague, Professor Tammy Schneider, as we conclude our look at the Bible in text and art. Our final session is actually one that is very appropriate for this evening because it focuses on one of the great military heroes in the biblical text, and that is Deborah and Yael from the book of Judges. And so we'll be exploring that story both in its textual interpretation and also its visual interpretation. And finally, next Friday, please come and experience what certainly will become a new tradition here at Temple Beth Israel. That is our Shabbat together. Once a month, we will hold a multi-generational communal worship experience, a worship experience for people and families of all ages. Please do note, however, that this service will begin 30 minutes earlier than our normal time. It will begin at 7 p.m. So please, we look forward to seeing you back here next Shabbat at 7 p.m. And with that, Shabbat Shalom. Can you give me one more second? I forgot. In my very, very lengthy list of thank yous, I did forget a few other names. Thanks also to Janine Mann for your wonderful teaching this evening. Rabbi, I'm sure would be very impressed. Thank you to Paula Steinbach for your very wonderful, and I would also say inspiring story. And finally, as Cantor has already mentioned, thank you very much to all of our veterans and the military families. Thank you not only for your service, which goes without saying, but also thank you for being the models of devotion and dignity that our society most desperately needs. And with that, I will say Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Gary. Just a couple of other little things, not little things, but brief announcements. One is our Jewish Federation will be sponsoring a program focused on Kristallnacht as part of the Jewish Book Festival, which is ongoing throughout the month of November. It's at the University of Laverne this coming Sunday. It is at 4 p.m. We got the correction out. There was an error in the Federation's initial communication, but it is at 4 p.m. at the University of Laverne this coming Sunday. In addition to that, we have our Interfaith Thanksgiving service coming up here at Temple Beth Israel. It's our turn to host as we kind of resume our normal communal activities. So that will be on Wednesday the 24th or 3rd, I don't remember which one it is. The Wednesday right before Thanksgiving here at 7 p.m. Musicians, Randy will be here, I'll be here. We'll have an interfaith choir and a lot of guests for the community. So please, Temple Beth Israel, please make them join us and make them feel welcome. And I think you will also be moved by the content of the program. Many other things going on. Check your Kehillah, check our website, check Facebook, and look forward to the weekly Thursday emails, which kind of puts it all together. I know that there are Women of TBI events coming up and other adult Jewish learning things. My intro class continues on Wednesday. It's only, we had a little bit of a hiatus, so we're only on the 3rd session. So if you know anyone who is interested, I think they could still fit in the curriculum, even at this somewhat late date, but they're welcome. So with that in mind, we will move towards closing our service with Aleinu L'Shabeach, page 283, and I invite you to rise, if you are able.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשי, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. 287. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
At this time, we turn our hearts to those who are in mourning. We remember lives lost and in some cases unfulfilled. We particularly recognize those in our congregation who are remembering the anniversary of a death. We remember John T. Jack Edwards, David Wax, Harold Chester, Mary Coyle, Lois Goodman, Jerry Klinghoffer, Bernard Nagby, Alan Aaron, Merton Gill, Philip Siegel, Dave Kimmel, Ruth Klein, Celia Ort, Patty Aaron Ross, Ryan Joel Rowe, Mildred Schulman, Beverly Zaki, Harriet Gull, Bertha Hurwitz, Dr. Israel Langsner, and Shirley Pregel. If you have a name that you'd like to add to that list, whether a recent death or a yurtzeit this Shabbat, please do so as I go through the congregation, and please, if you are online and remembering someone, please add that name as well. And of course, we make special recognition of all those whose lives were lost in military service on this Veterans Day. And I invite those who are in a time of mourning or observing a yahrzeit to please rise, if you are able. And if it is your custom to rise in love and support of those who mourn, to do so as well as this time as we read together the words of Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael b'gala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach la'alam ul'olmei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, huya oseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all humankind, to which we say, amen. If you choose, you can stand as we close our service with the words of the last paragraph of Adon Olam on page 321, Biyado. It's our custom to be connected to those with whom we are close. If you feel safe doing so, we encourage you to do so. But of course, if you don't feel safe, no requirements here. Anyway, and Beyado on the bottom of page 321.
Beyado av kiduchi ve'ein ishan ve'a'ira ve'imruchi geviati Adonai li ve'lo ira ve'imruchi geviati Adonai li ve'lo ira. My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Hold me in your hand. Draw me near, I shall not fear, safely in your hand. Beyado, beyado of Kidduchi, ve'eni shan ve'a'ira, ve'imruchi geviati, Adonai li ve'lo ira, ve'imruchi geviati, Adonai li ve'lo ira. Shabbat Shalom. Please join us in the social hall for Kiddush and Motzi and a delicious Oneg Shabbat. Thank you so much, those who are on, in our cyber shul. May it be a Shabbat Shalom for you, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Lehitraot.